I'm not addicted to my phone.
I'm not addicted to my phone.
I am not addicted to my phone.
I think it's been around like an hour, 45 minutes, 2 hours.
Over the last 24 hours, I've used my phone for an average of 4 hours and 19 minutes.
Like I'm affected by my phone because I always use it in class, so I don't always get what I need to get done on time, and it's just always something I go to when I have nothing to do.
Some people are super addicted to it, and it affects how they do in school, but personally I feel like I stay away from it enough.
This is my 14th year working in a high school. It's my first at West Ottawa, but I've worked with high school students for a long time, and I think really it's been a pretty significant issue that I've seen. I think when students have their phone taken away in class for like a violation of the policy, they really can't handle it. Like there's a strong emotional reaction. Kids know they're not supposed to have their phones out and cannot stop themselves from looking at their phone even when they know that they shouldn't, know what the consequences are. So I would say, yeah, it's a pretty serious issue. We know from research that there's been some significantly increased rates of depression and anxiety for not just young adults, but also for people kind of across the lifespan with regard to social media. And that has to do with the feeling of anxiety for constantly checking, make sure you're not missing something, not wanting to miss any notifications to know what's going on. But then also that depression kind of arises where people are comparing themselves to other people, since on social media we tend to portray ourselves in the best light. And so people feeling like they don't measure up or aren't adequate when they compare themselves to everyone else. So probably over the last decade or so, that's really led to sort of an increase in mental health issues.
I felt like in years past I spent way too much time worrying about phones. It always bothers me, teaching when I see kids on their phones. Everyone really probably spends more time on their phone than they should. I think students have a harder time breaking from it though. You use the word addiction, and it's probably a little bit harder for students to come to the realization that they're spending too much time on it, and maybe knowing what to do to avoid being on it all the time. I would say as far as teaching, sometimes kids being on their phones takes away from our time as teachers teaching, because we have to go over and address it. And students that spend too much time on their phones end up missing out on things, whether it's in class or even if it's outside of school, and they're spending a ton of time on their phones and not much time on their schoolwork.
On average, in a class, there are 5 to 7 students who are severely addicted and can't get through the class without looking at their phone. I don't think it's the majority, but often those 5 to 7 are the ones who really should be focusing on their schoolwork.
My thoughts about the young adults' ever increasing use of social media today is that it's creating some unrealistic expectations for the future. They are lacking interpersonal communication skills. They anticipate immediate gratification and responses from most sources like Instagram, texting, Snapchat, and in reality, it doesn't happen that often, and I feel like it causes a lot of anxiety. I feel like it causes a lot of what about me or me too, or it causes individuals to covet what other people have because they're seeing all this unrealistic posts out there of really what's not real life, but they feel like they are missing out. And I think as an employer at Request Foods, where I'm the HR director, I see I see where a lot of people, instead of going door to door or actually picking up a phone to call somebody and ask a question, their response is, well, I emailed somebody or I texted somebody, and that's supposed to be good enough, where really they could easily just walk down the hallway and ask the question and get the answer so much more quickly, and understand the body language and the gestures, the passions, if you will, of the respondent, and just solve the problem right then and there.
Yeah, I changed what I'm doing this year with my phone. So I've got a holder in the back of the room, and every student has their own slot. And they've got two options. They can keep their phone in the holder in their pocket, or they can leave it in their backpack. And if I see a phone out during class, I just write a referral for it. And I thought I was going to get more pushback at the beginning of the year on it, but so far things have gone well. Yeah, I've written a handful of referrals, but for the most part, kids have been able to, have some self-control with it, and so that's gone well this year. This year, with my new policy that I've got in my classroom, that's gone way down. Yeah, I've had kids on their phones this year, but again, I just put in a referral. I don't stop doing what I'm doing. I just keep teaching and make a mental note at the end of the hour to put in a referral for it. And so it's gone way down in class, and kids seem to be a little bit more focused.
So my recommendations would be to put away the phone. So when you're in school, maybe keep it in your locker or in your car where it's not accessible to you. At night, keep your phone somewhere other than your room. I think a lot of people use their phones as an alarm clock, but I would recommend getting an actual alarm clock and having your phone in a completely different room so that you're not tempted to check notifications in the middle of the night. And also because the light from the screen of your phone really disrupts your sleep. So kind of keeping those separate. I think at dinner time when your family's eating dinner, make sure the phone is away from you where it's not within reach, and just sort of train yourself to be able to function without the phone.
I don't think they should be allowed in the classroom at all, obviously. That's why I went to my strict no phone policy. Really, there's no reason for them in classroom. We have Chromebooks, and I feel that they just distract students from what they should be working on.
I don't think that they should necessarily not be allowed, but I think that it would help if there was a consistent policy where the expectation was that they're not out during class. I know some schools don't even allow kids to have phones on them, and like on them in the halls or in lunch or things like that. And I don't know how I feel about that, but I think being able to have the phone, but just the expectation is during class time that it's put away, and that includes when you leave class to go to the bathroom. I always see kids wandering the halls to go to the bathroom, and they're not going to use the bathroom, they're using it as time to be on their phone. So I think I agree with during class time not having phones out, but not necessarily not allowing them at all inside the school.